This is George Orwell, and I'm continuing. And I stood before myself in this realization what I had allowed, that I did not stand up, that I did not take responsibility, that I allowed humanity to continue in their suffering while I enjoyed my beautiful, magnificent, profound heaven existence experience, expressing myself, starting a new family, beautiful children, perfect place. Everything was the manifested placement of perfection, and the world is not that. And so, as I've said 2 years ago, this interdimensional portal opened and the dimensions was introduced to the process of forgiveness. And that's when, what is the process of forgiveness? The process of forgiveness is when you actually face yourself, when you stand in front of yourself and you realize what you have accepted and allowed, and how that acceptances and allowances has supported the current manifestation of existence as a whole. And this is human beings and dimensional beings included. And that is a statement I'm bringing through of what I realized through the process of forgiveness, how I faced myself in the realization of what I'd done, that I did not stand up and take responsibility for all of humanity as one, and that I instead went for the golden calf, manifested experience of a heaven, just self-absorbed, self-obsessed, within my own little perfect, profound, magnificent heaven, while there's still human beings and children, families, the world actually in its entirety suffering. And I looked at myself and I actually said, you know what, I don't deserve to be here. I don't deserve to be in existence. Because I actually then had to stand and face each and every single human being on earth. And that's why I also have the ability to speak to you now about this, because what I'd done is I actually went in that moment, I realized it within the anger in myself, because I was angry when I realized what I'd done, what a statement I'd made of myself. And I actually went and stood in front of each and every single human being in this world, each and every single one. In the dimensions you're able to split yourself into as many selves as you want, but that requires a profound amount of trust within yourself, because no matter how many beings you split, how many selves you split yourselves into, each and every single, you're still one, and you're still one, okay? So whether I'm here, one, and whether I'm multiple splits of myself, but it's not really a split, it's multiple manifestations of yourself, but you're still one and the same. That's what I did. And I stood in front of each and every single human being and asked forgiveness. I stood and I asked forgiveness until I'm able to stand in front of each and every single human being like I'm doing now and explain to you what I had allowed. That I allowed you, each and every single human being on this earth, to suffer, to continue in your suffering, in your enslavement, in your experience here on earth, while I was enjoying my own experience in heaven, in a place, in a galaxy that was just perfect, where I had the ability to live and experience myself for the first time, while you don't have the ability at all at the moment because you're lost. I mean, there's no being on this earth that has the ability, that currently in this, how this world is manifested, has the ability to express and experience themselves infinitely as who they really are, without tiring, constant, consistent, equal, one. I mean, you had these little places in heaven that you had the ability to do that, but there was only one, not as all, as one as a whole. And so it was very hard for me. I mean, standing in front of, I mean, at the first I couldn't face people, I couldn't face human beings. I couldn't stand before human beings and say, this is what I allowed. I allowed you to suffer and continue to suffer in your lostness and your enslavement, while I enjoyed myself in my own self-expression, in my experience in this beautiful galaxy, crystals, my own beautiful family, my children, and that's where the disappointment came, that's where the dismay came within myself. And then I realized, listen, George, pull yourself together. You can't exist in this disappointment within yourself, this dismay, this anger, this resentment, this absolute disgust of yourself infinitely. And that's when I realized, okay, let me apply forgiveness within myself first, so that I'm certain, I'm clear within myself to be able to face each and every single human being. And that's what I did. I applied forgiveness within myself. I forgave myself for allowing myself to experience dismay within myself, to judge myself, to be ashamed of myself, to be angry at myself. I stood up within the realization of what I did. I said to myself, George, I did speak to myself. I said, okay, I see what I've done. I see what I've realized. I'm either able to continue in this pitiful existence within myself, or I'm actually able to stand up and start applying myself and making a difference. And that's what I did. In that moment when I realized that, I realized I don't want to exist in this pitiful existence within myself anymore, feeling sorry for myself for the rest of my existence. That's not going to help anything. That's just going to make it worse. And I'm going to get to this point inevitably again, where I'll stand before the same thing, that I didn't stand up, take my power and take responsibility for the experience of human beings on earth and support them, and that I require to do it right now. I require to do it now, in this moment, and that's what I did. So I stood up inside myself. I said, George Orwell, standing up in this moment, and I'm supporting humanity, because I'm not allowing this again. I'm not able to go through it again. And that gave me the strength to be able to stand in front of each human being and ask forgiveness, so that when all of you face me one day and I stand in front of you, I'm able to stand clear and say, I understand what I did. I have asked forgiveness within myself. I stand clear in front of you. I have stood up within myself. I am applying myself, and I am directing each and every single human being as effectively in every single moment to manifest the freedom of expression. The freedom of expression as oneness and equality as all of existence, so that there exists no more separation, so that there exists no more suffering, so that there exists no more pain, so that there exists no more humiliation, no more regret, no more dismay, no more anger, but just all as one and equal in existence in its entirety, standing up, taking responsibility for themselves, expressing themselves individually, and each other, supporting each other as who we really are. This is George Orwell. Thank you.